So this is how I got here. My daughter Maggie was an itty-bitty thing, but she ate like a horse. Mac and cheese was her favorite. One of the few things that made her smile. And when she did smile, boy, her smile was so bright it lit up the whole room. And you couldn't help but to smile back. Anyway, where was I? I was in the supermarket with Maggie, and she did something that surprised me. I was ashamed, really ashamed of myself. I'm her mother. I'm supposed to know these things. We went into the supermarket for bread and came out in a cop car. Maggie had filled up her unicorn book bag with a bunch of mac and cheese, and she caused a scene when they found out. Her screaming rang through the aisles, "I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry!" I'm the one who did this to her. Her stomach growls gave birth to a monster. But it was me. It was me who was the monster. I had tried my best. I was barely scraping by, and I had no one to help me, teach me to be a mother. I was just a child, raising a child. Upon further investigation, I was charged up with neglect, which is a familiar feeling. Ironic, neglected by foster care, neglected by the teachers who never noticed my bruises, neglected by the system that put us in this situation. And now, I'm here, married to these 4 walls, starving, sweating, and still neglected. Boy, could I use her smile now.
I open my palms to the sky, surrendering to the human hopelessness that it does not despair me. For life needs no more despair, I pray. To turn a situation as bad as mine into an opportunity to be of some benefit, to transcend my present circumstances, transform everything around me into something almost radiant.
Boom, 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 banging, constant, throbbing, consistent, bang, bang, my mind, I lose it, broken, pieces, shit, I'm bleeding, silence kills me, noises scare me, darkness likes me, I don't know me, can you help me, hold me, heal me, save me, love me, please don't leave me, something's fucked inside my mind and everything just dies, something's fucked inside my mind and everything just dies. Who sharpened the knife? Who did it? Who killed that guard? Who sharpened the knife? Who did it? Who killed that guard? Who sharpened the knife? Who did it? Who killed that guard? Who killed that guard? You have been sentenced to solitary confinement, systematic policies and conditions of control and oppression. Used in isolation include
confined behind a cell still for 23 hours a day.
limited contacts with other human beings,
Grossly inadequate medical and mental health treatments.
infrequent phone calls and rare non-contact family visits, physical torture such as hog tying, restraint chairs, and forced cell extraction, mental torture such as sensory deprivation, permanent bright light and extreme temperatures, forced insomnia, and sexual intimidation and violence. Who sharpened the knife?
Who did it?
Who killed that guard? Who sharpened the knife?
did it?
Who killed that guard? Who sharpened the knife?
Who did it?
Who killed that guard? Who killed that guard?
Night, bright stars, celebrating life's dream as peace sits still.
So show me all your stuff, ignore everybody else. Your friends won't come, so show me where you fit. So show me where you
Here, the sun will not stretch past barbed wire and a security camera,
Vision swayed by square turns down the hallways,
draining your stamina.
There is no grass struggling through asphalt.
Only steel bars and stolen strength.
5 cents an hour,
For 10 years
and still can't afford to support yourself. In the shadows of white picket fence dreams, one can only dream. Your shoulder pressed up against the bars.
just to see how far you can reach.
Become those bars that cage you in, young knight. Strong like the steel.
Focused and upright.
Be more than your predestined 3/5 of a memory.
But don't forget the truth of your harsh reality.
Embrace your shackles and suffer in silence. Know that only you alone can be your guidance.
For here, the sun will not stretch
Past barbed wire.
And a security camera.
Understand how someone can subject another human being to this type of punishment and think that it's justified. It is totally inhumane. There's no way around it. You know, you really don't truly understand the impact of removing someone from human contact for years. It can even be for weeks, but it has a negative effect on that person. So the human contact, like I said, we're built for that, and it's so important. And it's like totally removing someone from society and putting them in a dark hole, right? And everybody's walking over it, and he's shouting from the bottom of that hole, but nobody hears him. You know, and it's dark down there. It just drives you crazy. And I experienced that so many times where I'm shouting, I'm there, I want somebody to just, you know, come talk to me. You know, just shake my hand, something, you know, because you urge for that. And I couldn't get it. You know, so you have to start playing tricks with your own mind, you know, just to try to survive this thing. I feel that I went through this to be here to share it with you all and let you all know that what we're doing to prisoners and to guys in solitary confinement is totally inhumane. We're driving people crazy. And this is our criminal justice system that's supposed to serve and protect us. But we are literally driving men insane. And those that are already insane, we're just putting them in the casket. That's all we're doing. There's no rehabilitation. There's no such thing as justice in an unjust environment. You can't get there.
I have COVID. It's bad. Real bad. There's no way around it. Only choice I have is to let it move through me. It's not trying to make you sick, though. It's trying to take you out. My neighbor died yesterday. I had all these friends, man. Everyone I know who got sick, they're in an outside hospital, in a coma, on ventilators. It's bad, man. We all have reason to worry about what's going on because none of us know what's going on. But I do know this isn't the time to withhold us from our families. We need free communication and a better notification system. We need immediate clemency. You know, the yearly cost to keep elders in prison doubles from $30K to $60K due to medical costs alone. I want you to think about how that money could be better spent. You know, most of us in prison, we have high blood pressure, we're diabetics, we were born with asthma. Our medical histories are flawed from the beginning, from the first stages of life. We're being plagued by multiple pandemics, and I am disproportionately vulnerable to them all. It's systemic. It's the architecture of this country. All I know is that I need to find my center. I meditate because it helps me realign my space, and right now, it's keeping me safe. It's keeping me sane. I touched my hand to the ceiling today. You know, I've been in here for 40 years and I've never tried this. Never understood it. I just knew that that ceiling was real short, real small. But when I actually pressed my hand and let myself lock that image in, I mean, God, it scared the fuck out of me. But you know what I do know? I realized that other than being in here, I'm happy being me. Like, I am truly, truly happy to be me, and not a lot of people can say that about themselves. I love being me, and that is why I'm allowed to wake up feeling blessed, all things considered. It allows me to have my heart, my spirit, my fears, and my joys, and to look at myself with a measure of joy, you know, a measure of love. It sustains me. So don't cry for me. I am not broken. I am alive in a world that wants me dead. I need to know now more than ever that you'll still be there for me. When my heart and the clock start to tick the same, and the people I love stop saying my name, will you still be there for me? When they pack up their things and recycle my faith, will you still be there for me? When my hands shake and my heart breaks, but spirit rages, will you still be there for me?
The U.S. has the fastest growing prison population in the world. Well, it's like the real estate boom. Except, of course, the problem with real estate, you eventually run out of land. You never run out of people to put in prison.
New and May!
Yo, you think that kid got any bars?
Nah, they ain't got no bars. I do know who got bars, though. Bro, all right, check this out. See, Our birth certificate is basically our death note. Every time one of us die, it becomes a right for them to use a black quote. Then they try to justify their fear for us black folks. Come, let's emphasize and tell you some facts though. See, cause me, being a big dude,
with his skin tone,
got people thinking I break bones with black lungs, puffing kush like I breathe oxygen. He was wearing a ski mask, you know, black snack, you know, and Big Macs. Take grip when the gat leaving shows and the stranger's back. Causing genocide like it's a hood sport. Paying crooks to never get caught so I can stay in contact. Now let's talk facts. Because it seems when we talk about peace and love, society claims it's whack. Yet when we preach words talking about cracking skulls with a bat, we seem to attract the stigma of society's cracks while the wealthy kick back and relax.
Woo!
You know it.
Oh, okay. Yo, that's straight facts. Speak that, yeah. Flammable, fire in your heart, light a spark, hope they change your boo. Masses brainwashed, it's the GMOs they feeding you, the media you listen to. Gotta rewire, unlearn in addition to multiplying knowledge, that's your weapon Huey Pete knew. But it ain't new, the message been told so old. The Panther 10 points, still waiting for parole. Hurt my soul, who knows, but the rate's got to go. Stick to status quo, oh your status John Doe. Take toe, they tick to a soul. The greats are MO, they scared of overthrow. Okay. The faster they shoot, the bigger the proof. Yeah, the power is scary when it's put in use. Yeah, offender oppressors, they off our roofs. A revolutionary dead, but the movement ensues.
Oh, you spit hot fire. All right. I got you right now. You ready for the sequel? Boom. All right, so. See, being born black, we're already judged in white America. Bad enough statistics of us Negroes in prison is super numerical. See, I myself live in a world where blacks mainly know how to roll a spliff, bang their hood, or ride or die. Sad part is they know how to do all of that before they learn how to tie. See, growing up in Farragut Projects, that's all you saw. The Crips, the Bloods, the gang bangers and thugs and hate and fake love. Being black, you grew up to say strap up, back up, Tino like it's barack up. Sell drugs and stack up. Skip school, smoke weed and act up. Couldn't find the right words to use, so I use nigga as a backup. And this is how whites depict us. Gather us in jail knowing that we can't afford bail. The system making prophecy and black brothers fail. But see, failure is not an option. Cause I'm gonna come up from sundown to sun up. And I'm gonna be a winner, no runner up. And nothing will stop my shine or stop my flow, cause I'm mixed with greatness. Oh, you like that?
Okay, I like that one.
I got you right now. We about to complete the trilogy. Boom. All right.
Okay.
Ready? You ready? All right.
God, this is what you want me to do? Defend to the death, to the breath go blue. Purple bruise, black power, red blood, white too. Bite, scratch, fight, punch to the revolution stew. Fire consumes, rage stay, caught in the fume. Smoking mirrors never clear at any type of view. Loopholes, 13, got that shit confused. Prison labor is just slavery by the rules. And if I die by the end of these bars, yeah, I knew. The faster they shoot, the bigger the proof. Their power is scary when it's put in use. Offender oppressors, they off our roofs. A revolutionary dead, but the movement ensues. God, this is what you want me to do? Defend to the death, to the breath go blue. Purple bruises, black power, red blood, white too. Bite, scratch, fight, punch to the revolution stew. Fire consumes, rage stay, caught in the fume. Smoking mirrors never clear at any type of view. Loopholes, 13, got that shit confused. Prison labor is just slavery by the rules.
Oh, I'm your #1 fan. What's up?
Welcome to your re-entry class. I'm here to help you all transition back into society. You all have great qualities about yourselves, and we're going to figure out how you guys can use that to build a resume. We will discuss any and every emotion possibly that you might experience outside of these walls, but we are aiming to stay on the right track where no one repeats any old patterns. You must pass this course before you are released. So please help me help you, yes?
We gotta release.
I was shackled to a woman that I barely knew. They never told us where we were going. Now I'm free, and I still don't know where to go. I don't know who to listen to or which way do I turn. I had $40 and a Metro card, and I'm supposed to imagine a world without prisons? Man, I don't know. There are things that I do know. I know what it's like to watch birthdays pass. We couldn't celebrate because it was considered inciting a riot. But I also know that the young lords took over the hospital to take care of the hood, the way my sisters took care of me in prison. I remember what my garden smells like. Purple daffodils. And the maze that I trace each night on my daughter's back, a beautiful constellation I could never forget. Don't call me inmate. Don't call me convict. Don't call me a felon. Can you call me by the names that I'm learning to reclaim? Can you call me Mom? Call me Maria.
Life is always unpredictable. Yet so easily can we lose ourselves if we allow it to. Shit is crazy to me. For real, this isn't how I dreamed it would be. Though I'd be living my ideal dreams and be known like Disney. A hard pill to digest is reality. Playing from a dream I need to see come true. Because I hate how little control I have towards everything. In this moment, my heart heavy, my thoughts are seeking clarity. I want to be the fighter. On my journey to become happy, I found myself across multiple walls to get through. I start thinking on the importance of happiness and how much we want it for ourselves. How much we'll sacrifice for it. How little we can try to accomplish it. How empty we feel once the feeling of happiness is missing. Today, the sun is out in full effect, shining its brightness and light on everyone. No matter the situation one is coming from, the light and warmth is always felt by the sun. I'm at a point in my life when I wish I too was like the sun. Always seen and felt, no matter what time and day, you'll know that I'm there. See, I'm finally back on my feet, and it feels so peaceful.
Good morning, world. How do you do? Been waiting all night long to get to know you. Sleep with one eye open so I don't miss a beat. Yes, my heart is broken, but my spirit is free. Walk with me, oh won't you, in the morning. Walk with me at night, I'll fight for you. Walk with me, oh won't you, in the morning. Walk with me at night, I'll fight for you. In the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, I wanna rise up peaceful. I wanna rise up full of life. I wanna rise up laughing when I rise in the morning. When I rise in the morning. When I rise in the morning. When I rise, I wanna rise up healthy. I wanna rise up unified. I wanna rise up free. When I rise, when I rise.
when I ride.
Son,
You didn't want to be a role model, so you picked up and rolled. Figures. Or maybe you sold your soul for a rock and some gold liquor. Whatever the case may be, I'll never understand. So save it. You know where the door is, so I think you should just go.
David,
Don't act like you know me just because you know my name.
let me get to know you, son.
Are you deaf? I said I ain't playing your fucking game. I'm not your son, and you ain't my pops. So let's leave it at that.
I know I've been around, but David, I'm here. I've come back so we could...
So we could what? Pick up where we left off? Here, let me give you a hint. Walk out and don't ever look back. That's all. No need to write, visit, don't even call. Can't teach me how to ball, how to draw, how to tie a tie. You were never there to wipe no tears from my eyes. The only thing I ever learned from you was how to say goodbye. So, it's all good. You do you, and I'm gonna do the same. And not a goddamn thing needs to ever change.
David!
Man.
What was that all about?
Mom, I don't know what to do. I know I haven't been there for him, but I'm trying to be. He just blocks me at every chance.
He loves you and he misses you, but being without you for so long, that takes a toll on a child.
Well, that went well.
Whatever, Aunt Lily, I'm good.
What does that mean? So you forgive him?
Forgive him? What I need to forgive him for? I ain't even mad.
You're not. You told me you feel like he left you here without you. So you're not mad about that? You walking around this house angry for no reason?
What am I supposed to hug him and tell him I love him? Nah, for what?
I don't expect him to hug me and say he loves me, but yo, he could at least associate with me.
Look at him
I think now is the time you should talk to him.
and listen too. Years
has
have passed and
and
he's had a lot of time to reflect on the things that you
He
should have
should've done.
done.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to be there now. I just thought he missed me like Lily. The only thought I had in it was how can I be the best man possible for him when I got out?
Well, that's just great for him. What that got to do with me? I'm working. I'm giving money every month. My responsibilities are getting done. So why are you over here talking to me and acting like I'm the one that's doing something wrong?
I did not say that. Look, if you spoke to your father, you'll be less angry than you are now.
You know what? I just don't care anymore. I don't care. I know I heard it all before. I need to forgive him. I need to let go of my anger. Well, I don't want to. And I shouldn't have to.
You've only thought about how to be the best man possible for him after your sentence, Derek, but it wasn't just yours. Listen, your sentence was my sentence, was his sentence, and we're all sentenced to the severance. And now you ask for reverence, but he thinks, how can I
respect him
when he's taught me nothing more than isolation?
You know what? I gotta go.
I'm not done. Sit down.
You taught him longing. We're on probation now together, all of us in this entire family.
David, you have to give him a chance. Pushing him away is not gonna help, and that's not gonna bring any happy endings.
A fairy tale reunion that's dissolved into a purgatory. A bedtime story for his son. A hero clad in all his glory. Home at last from bloody war.
David, don't you know to forgive is to set a prisoner free, and to realize that prisoner is you?
We're barely free from cuffs cinched tight around our wrists.
And he wants to know the ways that I missed him?
Mom, I miss him.
That's something you'll have to give time for.
I understand, but that's something you'll have to give time for.
You're right. I'm not giving up. I didn't do time in one case just to come home and find myself in another. Thanks, Mom.
Sometimes, I wish you would just give up.
I'm never giving up.
There's a limit to your love. Like a waterfall in slow motion.
David.
Derek?
Oh, come on, man. You can at least call me Pops. Listen, I have been thinking about you. I never forgot your voice, your flow, the pace of your walk. I never forgot you, son. But you're so different now.
Different? What? You don't gotta worry about that, Derek. I don't got time for it. I gotta go, and it looks like you're about 20 years too late.
David, I don't want you to go about life thinking you don't need help, all right? Your pride will bite you.
My pride? My pride? My pride has kept me free, at least.
You think a life filled with hate is freedom, son?
Freer than yours? What am I supposed to look up to you as a role model? Man, please.
Dear Dad, I wish you was here to help me in class. One of the exercises in 8th grade is to write a letter to your hero. I chose you. I know the other kids would choose differently, but I already know who I choose. See, I seen pictures of you, all cool, cap on. I try to copy your style, but moms didn't like it, of course.
Wait. That's the letter I wrote for you.
Of course.
You memorized it?
Of course. Shit, I know at some point in your life you had hope in me. I would have memorized them all if you said any more. Why didn't you?
So that's why you're back here. To talk about now?
David, yes and no. I came here seeking your forgiveness, your approval as your father. Listen, man, I might not have been the best role model for you. Shit, I might not ever be. But at least forgive me so that we can move forward.
Nah, I just don't know how to. I don't.
That's all right. That's understandable. That's something we'll have to give time for. And I'll wait for you.
Wait.
Maria?
Derek! Oh my God, you got out too, huh?
Hell yeah, it was actually right after you.
Wow.
Crazy day. I actually want to introduce you to somebody here. This is my son.
The infamous David?
Infamous?
Yeah, your pops wouldn't stop talking about you. Oh my God. New stories every day with reruns at night. He told us your favorite food, your favorite superhero, hey, even your favorite sport. Water polo! Yeah. It seems like your name out his voice box was the only thing that kept giving him hope. I guess I kind of fed off that hope myself, you know? Hope to be reunited with my daughter again was one of the only things that kept me up and out of that place. See, I knew shackles like the back of my feet, land of the free, but where the freedom for a young sister like me, finding purpose through the pain in the penitentiary. Didn't think that I could change, now I'm changing how they see. Don't call me ex-convict, offender, a felon. I'm human, becoming, not the lies that they telling. I'm yelling the truth. No stopping what we do. That bird has my wings, but I'm growing in you. On the road, no recidivism. System tried to box me in, but I'm Muhammad with it. If I'm free, let me be. I am not a digit, not a barcode. I'm a revolutionist. Not a barcode. I'm a revolutionist.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Between textbook and central booking, there is a pipeline.
Where food, the flavor of cardboard, and history, the texture of Columbus,
is served to children, preparing students for jumpsuits the color of flames.
Between teeth and tongue, some of us have wept before bowing as we save our skirts from the mud,
knowing the storm doesn't help us gather our children's fire. Between Mexico and the United States, there is a border
where imagined aliens, a collection of atoms with frightened hands clinging to their mother's breast,
scrapes craters into the moon as Border Patrol mistakes humanity for imperfection. Just like a fence challenging the waves of the Pacific, where men who have names made of steel guard a stolen land.
Between Palestine and Israel,
there are boys
who wrap their hearts in cement, guarding separation.
Feet stumble over uprooted olive trees while falling into the dusty eyes of soldiers. Like a fence with all its metal hands digging into a soil, a people with thread in their veins. Between the South Bronx and the Upper East Side, there is a river where a thread of mansions look away,
and men in uniform the color of deep, angry skies ride the trains with tall stories under their hats.
The rain doesn't care if it's Bel Air or Brownsville. All people need some form of oxygen. Can we rediscover our common threads?
Healing the tears in this collective quilt.
Our hands join past borders, our voices rising beyond the clanging of steel bars.
We can grow through these boxes and cages.
Reclaim our humanity.
Rewrite history's pages.
And transform what enrages
our innermost children.
We're each one in a million, not a box to be filled in. Reclaim our humanity. Rewrite history's pages. Reclaim our humanity and transform what enrages.
Come on. Samara.
Wow, y'all, thank you. So we want to just open up the floor, and as valuable to us as this chance to share the work is really, I think even more so, the chance to be in conversation with everyone we invite to be on the journey with us. So, like I said, everything here was created, devised by the company before you, and so it is fertile ground for conversation. So any reflections, connections, questions about the content or the process, the floor is open. But I want to introduce the artists. So we have Enlil McRae. Yeah. Desi Ramos. Johari Farrar. Rebecca Haynes Oliver, Juliet Rosa, and Zafar Mohammed. I'm also going to shout out Leah Muhammad, who jumped in, who's one of our original company members, who just surprised us with our presence. So she's still in our family, in our circle, and some of the material up here was a character that she created initially. Nice to see you, love. So we have a mic here, and we want to spend some time in conversation with you all. Any questions, any connections, jump up.
Hey, hey. How's it going? I was really struck by the kind of a continuing narrative through the performance. And I know you're saying that you constructed it from different stories and performances that you worked up over the years. I mean, it seems all so cohesive and just direct. If you could talk just a little bit about the process that you have for coming up with these narratives and putting together the performances. I mean, everything is so in tune. You know, you guys are solid, and it's just really, I guess, like mind-boggling to me on how something like that gets woven over time. And like, if things like this come from, you know, personal experiences, stories that you've seen, lived, or heard about, like, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Who wants the mic?
Personal experience? I mean, yeah, I'll speak on it. Hi, I'm Lil McCray. You can call me Eve for short. On personal experience, it's crazy because I play as Derek, who was the father trying to come home and, you know, get his son back. Where in real life, I'm actually David. So I say, like, playing as like my pops and in his perspective, you know, at first when I first started doing this role, it was more like it was just a challenge, and then it helped me to, you know, understand my father more and the circumstances that he was going through when everything happened, and just how much of a reach it was for him to really try to, you know, connect that bridge after, you know, everything that's happened. And it's crazy now because just like reflecting on the role now, it's more of it's more strength than fear towards of, you know, being the father in the future, way, you know, over there. But it's more strength, like, you know, like this, it's not gonna be, like, history's not gonna repeat itself, you know? So, like, to be Derek is like trying to, you know, it's like knowing that everything is against you, you got people that is in your circle that's gonna help you do your best, but, you know, even with your main goal, it's 50-50, so, or 75-25, but it has to connect just for that bond to be there, so yeah. Anybody else?
Thank you, E. In addition to what E shared about writing and creating from a place of personal testimony, the beginning of your question was like how, like, it seems so cohesive. How did it flow together? You know, because it's actually one of the most jigsaw puzzled makeshift pieces we've done so far that came to be something so cohesive and beautiful and streamlined. You know, we have 3 fully formed works. The first one being Barcode, Boxed In and Blacked Out in America, in Prism. And then Revision, which I was, if that wasn't clear enough, I was at school for that one. So I was fully present for the creation of all 3. But I am one of the almost original cast members of Truthworker, and some of the pieces that you saw today were written in 2013. They were edited and tweaked and revised, and new life got poured into them every year. But some of them are still where we started, which feels really important to me, that we can allow ourselves to grow, but hold true to what we founded this company, what Samara founded this company with the intention of, you know, creating and transforming for us. And we'll do like breakout sessions where we'll get a prompt and everyone will free write, and then we find whose piece relates to who else's. And then there are other times when we've worked, my piece in the show, in Solitary, is actually a direct transcription from nearly direct from our friend who, Samara, started the show speaking about Jarvis J. Masters, who is on death row in San Quentin, whom we've had a relationship with for several years, and each of us personally have been blessed to develop our own sort of relationships with him. And mine specifically, there's the section at the end of my piece is something I actually wrote to Jarvis, and the whole beginning is a conversation. It's a reworked and trimmed conversation between Samara and Jarvis that took place at the height of the pandemic. Over the course of 6 months, it's very intense, and it felt to me like I had to honor his words specifically. You know, I tried my best to withhold as much as possible my own perspective on the situation, because there's room for that in other places. You know what I mean? But I think it's valuable and something that we're trying to honor throughout this process of giving voice to folks who you can't hear, who deserve to be heard. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
First, thank you. Tremendous work, tremendous collaboration, presentation, presence, voice. My question is, and pardon if I'm ignorant in this, but what is your outreach? I just take into context the location of this work and how I think critical it may be to have certain people missing from the audience.
Are you asking the different reaches, our different reaches over the course of, from our company?
Or just accessibility.
Yeah.
Of your work and your presentation to the wider community, the wider city.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. I can start with that, and if you guys want to jump on too. So this event is one in which Pioneer Works and For Freedoms partnered and invited us in to participate in this series in conversation with Kobe's work. So this is something in which we show up to perform for the audience. You know, of course, we'll co-promote, but it's curated, and we're going to reach the demographic that Pioneer Works and For Freedoms and the other partners reach. We've toured nationally. We do everything from protests in the street to block parties to community theater to universities to conferences and beyond. And most specifically, anytime we have a tour stop anywhere, we make sure that we are connecting to and making our work available to any jails or prisons for free that are local to whatever area we're in, including juvenile detention centers. So we've had times, for example, where Vassar has brought us out, or Oberlin, or University of Maryland, and we're simultaneously in a juvenile detention center doing workshops and performances, or in an all-men's prison, or different variations. We work in schools, we do teaching artist residencies, so all the different company members as well have been in classrooms all over New York City and beyond. So we're working with young folks, we're working with community members, we're working with School of Public Policy, people who are, or public health, people who are going to become on the front lines of decision makers and public health policies. So we feel really blessed, I feel really blessed, I'm not gonna speak for everyone, but I think it's shared, that we have really had the privilege of being able to be in the room with judges and lawyers and decision makers, like up at Columbia, advocating for what kinds of laws and policies are passed, as well as people at Teachers College. We've been in residence at Teachers College, so people who are going to be now working with public school students in neighborhoods where the schools are perpetuating these very conversations around the school-to-prison pipeline with what teachers are being rolled out, and their level of consciousness and awareness of the systems that are impacting the students and themselves. So trying to interrupt those cycles from folks who are directly impacted and folks who have the power with their own privilege to interrupt those, hopefully. I'll pause there and see if you guys want to add to anything. We have family in the house.
Thank you so much. That was so moving, emotional, beautiful, inspiring, all at once. Thank you. Could you talk a little bit about the imagery in the background? I found it to be so powerful. Like, I saw some animations, sketches, photographs. How did you guys put all that together? Who did it? Was that the team or somebody else who did that?
So our technical director is Alexa, and she's actually one out of 2 members of Climbing Poetry. She did a bunch of the animations that you see here, and we basically came together as a group to figure out like how we want each slide to be. Samara also is very great with the cues, and Zafar also helped with a lot of the lighting cues and everything as well. So it's really a cohesive effort, you know. We all put our talents and our skills together to try to impact and give people an emotion to feel. So that way you not only take this experience and like be like, oh, that's cool, but you can go outside and be like, well, what can I do about it now, you know? So we leave you with that question.
Just to give a little more expansion on some of the specific artistry, we have less statistics in this particular one, but in the creation and devising, this is to speak to Kobe's question, in the devising of the work, sometimes, you know, in my director hat, I'll be like, okay, do research on the school to prison pipeline, do research on statistics of the practices and impacts of solitary, and then the company will come back and have integrated the research into their performance pieces, and then we'll also shoot them up as slides. And you mentioned Alexa, so we have some of her original artwork in the pieces, the Transcendence piece, the fist with the flower, that's her artwork explicitly, and some of which she's done specifically for the company, some of which she's let us borrow. And then she also collaborated with a number of different organizations over many, many years to create the Prison Poster Project. And that was in the cell block scene specifically. You saw 3 of those pieces, but there's dozens and dozens, and in our larger work we have many more where we're specifically featuring the artwork of folks all over the nation who are incarcerated, who have created images from their own lived experiences and then given them to us, and we're putting them up here. So the artwork is a kind of a montage of research and artists that we collaborate with and folks on the inside who are bringing their stories to the stage. And I just want to thank you all again. And also, we're in such a interesting time of this pandemic. So whether or not like we're moving towards more in-person things or less in-person things, but we're doing our best to stay really thoughtful and present and conscientious. And if and when it's possible, we want to continue to partner. So please stay connected to us, and we're excited to be building community in all the ways that we can right now through art. I'll pass it. Yeah?
Thank you all for being here. First of all, I want to say thank you to Pioneer Works. Thank you to Truthworker. Oh my God, I caught some of it. It was incredible, incredible. Like Devon was saying, he and I were saying they should actually be on Broadway. Like that was incredible. So We Got Us Now. We Got Us Now was established because for the majority of my father's incarceration, I was silent. I did not speak about him being there. I mean, even amongst my siblings, like we didn't even really talk about it. Like we would go see him. My father was in federal prison, so we would see him through the years. He was a very, very present father, but we just didn't talk about it. It was just too much pain associated with the fact that my father is still alive, but he's not present. So when the Obama administration decided that they wanted to reform the criminal justice system, I said, I think I should say something, because if he's doing these waves of clemencies, my dad deserves to be one of those people. It had been over 25 years at that point that he had been incarcerated, and he was a very, very present dad. Despite the fact that many moments I didn't want to have anything to do with him, he was still very present, ever present. I couldn't call him. He could only call us. Can't call the prison. So he could only call us, and he did. He wrote letters. He sent birthday cards. He sent holiday cards. When I had a son, he sent flowers to the delivery room. He made it his business to know his grandchildren through phone calls and visits. And just really was, you know, as an adult, I could truly appreciate it. As a young person and as an adolescent and as a teenager, I was so angry. But as an adult, his consistency was the thing that really made me say, I got to do something. And so as I began to journey on doing something, I discovered, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't come into this space like studying the criminal legal system or the justice system. I was really just a daughter trying to help my dad get home. And in the process, I discovered that there was this term that I had been living for the majority of my life, which was children of incarcerated parents. I had no idea that people cared about us. Like, wow, there's a word for what I had been living, and now people actually care. And so then I found out that the Obama administration actually had an initiative for children of incarcerated parents. So I was like, oh my God, I got to do something. So I created a website called inprison.net. I created a change.org petition, and I just began to advocate just very loudly. And slowly but surely, I started to gain some traction. And this was in 2014. And then leading up to 2016, which was when, you know, he was about to leave office, I had really, really gained a lot of traction. And I had, actually, because it became so much a part of my life, I actually made it a part of my life. I became a Soros Justice Fellow. And right before I became a Soros Justice Fellow, I had went to the White House. I've been invited to the White House. And while there, I met some executives from Google. And they heard about me, and they heard about the website and the short documentary that I created called Hope for Father's Day. And they were like, we want to honor your journey, and we want to do it for Mother's Day and Father's Day. So I created this campaign, a digital campaign in conjunction with Google called Love Letters. And basically it was an ode to my story, to show the unbreakable bond between an incarcerated parent and their children. Fast forward to November of 2016. And I, at that point, had been rocking and rolling, and I was a staunch advocate. I had been speaking all around the country and meeting daughters and sons from all walks of life. You know, the narrative is that, you know, children of incarcerated parents are primarily Black and brown, and I began to see that that was a false narrative. I was like, wait a minute, there's so many people from Google that were thriving and doing well, had this experience as well. You know, Asian people, all people from all walks of life, Black, brown, yellow, green, orange, everybody had been affected by mass incarceration. You know, I call mass incarceration this tsunami that has ripped across the United States, just devastating our communities and ripping apart families. And it had been so much a part of my story that I just knew that that administration would really hear my plea. And my father was arrested on December 6th. So Thanksgiving, Christmas was always a very challenging time for me. And in November of 2016, I'm thinking that this is going to be the last wave and he's about to let my dad go because I had been everywhere. No, we actually got denied. And with no reason, no explanation, just a denial. And I was absolutely devastated because this was the first time I had actually worn my heart on my sleeve, sharing publicly to the world that I had been a daughter of an incarcerated parent, and I really wanted to have my dad home. And now I had met this whole huge community of other young people from across the country that had been impacted. And they said no. And so up until January 20th, I remember the Women's March was happening. I was still fighting, just maybe to have some hope that they would hear me. And so, you guys, I was really, really like gutted. And I did not know what to do because I had made this all a part of my life. And so, Devon, you say, where did this come from? It took a moment. I took a moment because I was literally nonstop, and I had realized that I wasn't really breathing. I was just moving and moving on just fumes, and I decided to take like a wellness break because I had not realized how impacted this experience had been on me, physically, emotionally, mentally, and I knew I couldn't stop. So I took a wellness break, and in that moment of meditation, I went by the water. My favorite place is the Caribbean Sea. Went by the Caribbean Sea, and I just got really grounded. And I was like, F all of this, like F this, like, you know, back to that angry scene, like F all of this. This is so F'd, like I'm just done. And then I remembered all the young people that I had met. And then I remembered all the daughters and the fathers and mothers that I had met that had been incarcerated or formerly incarcerated. And I thought, I can't stop. So what am I gonna do? And so my people were speaking to me, and the name We Got Us Now came into the fold. And We Got Us Now became and evolved into a national, nonpartisan advocacy organization that is built by, led by, and about children and young adults who have been impacted by parental incarceration. And the reason why I include young adults is because the work before We Got Us Now was primarily focused on children under the age of 18. But I'm here to tell you all that there is no magic button at the age of 18 where all of this pain magically disappears. We are walking unhealed people. And so I wanted to ensure that we recognize that, and we started from a place of healing. And so that is how We Got Us Now came into existence. It was me starting from my personal journey and then going into this really pivotal work that I felt like was necessary in order to be instrumental in affecting policy and affecting change and keeping families connected.
Thank you for that, because, yeah, give it up. That, you know, the fact that you are able to tell your story like that, I think inspires other young people not to be so, how could I say, disturbed by their experience. You motivate others. That's what actually resonated most with me when I learned about We Got Us Now. So actually, I've known you for a few years now, Ebony, and I remember actually the social justice summer. It was the summer thing.
Oh yeah. We did the Google event. Right,
the Google event. So you invited me, and you know, I was feeling good. I had just came back from South Africa. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna go check this out. And I seen all these young people who have been touched by the system in some shape, form, or fashion feel as that they have community. Like that really touched me, because the reality of it is most people, well, maybe now it may be a little bit different because I've been home for a few years, but no one in prison is really like sitting down thinking about support groups for their children, because it's just something that don't exist. It's the big secret. And I learned this when I came home and I went to school. The big elephant in the room was that somebody's mother or father had incarceration. So the ways in which they would speak about people in jails and prisons was very, how could I say, degrading. And these are
college students, right here in New York City, very diverse. And the big elephant in the room was that they were touched by mass incarceration. And every semester, I would have to come out and disclose that I was formerly incarcerated. And actually, it ended up becoming a task for me because now I done took all the power from the professor because they looking at me like, hold on, you ain't never been to prison. He know what he talking about, right? So it became a job to educate people about mass incarceration. So that's why, like, We Got Us Now is very dear to me. But we do have so actually, I don't want us to lose focus because we do have an agenda in which we can actually contribute to the change in which we want to see. So how about we inform the people about the list of demands for our brothers and sisters that are inside?
Yeah, so what Devon is referring to is that, as you see, this is the homepage for We Got Us Now. If you go to wegotusnow.org, this is what you'll see, and it signifies, I'll give you guys some stats. So of the 2.2 million people that are incarcerated in the United States, 50% of them are parents. And so this signifies like the faces of the children in the United States. Our logo is representative almost of a flag that represents We Got Us Now. And when COVID-19 hit, I had wrote an article, an op-ed for Mike, saying that I had been social distancing for over 30 years. So I was very familiar with what that felt like. And our community, our population was also very familiar with what that felt like. Going back to the stats, so 2.2 million people, 50% of them are parents. Under the age of 18, there are 2.7 million children who have a parent incarcerated in the United States. That number, 2.7 million, is greater than the states of Maine and New Hampshire, their populations, together, collectively. That's a problem, right? But that's not even the epidemic. The epidemic is that over 10 million children at some point in their lives in the US have been impacted by parental incarceration. However, we are a historically invisible population because the narrative, like he said, I'm sure somebody in here has been touched by it, but a lot of times we just do not share. And so I wanted to change that. I really wanted to ensure that that narrative was shifted. And so I created We Got Us Now around 4 very specific demands to engage, educate, elevate, and empower our historically invisible community so that they know that they are not alone, so that they know that there is community, and so that they know that they care and they can love their parents despite whatever mistake that they have made. And so what Devon is referring to, you'll see, is the COVID-19 at the top. So we have a COVID-19 page because we knew immediately that we wanted to ensure the safety of our parents. There is no such thing as social distancing in prisons or jails. And so who are going to advocate for them? You know, in society, what it has been previous to this movement around reforming the criminal legal system, there wasn't much, you know, talk or even care or empathy for people, for the human beings that were locked behind bars. And so we knew that as daughters and sons. And so we collectively came together. And when I say collectively, We Got Us Now has an actionist leadership program that we started in January of 2020. And our actionists, there's 10 of them. They all come from all across the United States. And we got on the phone. I remember there's the Saturday, March, if it was the 16th on Monday, so there was March 14th. And we all came together with a list of demands, and we wrote an open letter, and we released it. And if you go to wegotusnow.org, you can see those 4 lists of demands. And those demands include clemency and safety for those that are most vulnerable to COVID-19. We know our elders. We know people age out of criminality. Why are we incarcerating people for more than 20 years? Like, why? We're the only society that does that. We incarcerate the harshest on the planet. We're only 5% of the world, but yet we incarcerate 25% of the world's population, and severely. And so we, with COVID ravaging the world, we knew that we wanted to ensure that we protected our parents. And so our first demand was for clemency and releasing of those people that were there. And then our second demand was free communications. When the pandemic hit, there were all these technology companies, phone communication companies that were providing incentives and, relief for people for making long distance calls to reach their family members and ensure that people were okay. But nobody was thinking about us. And it still cost us to talk to our parents. It's not free. So we were like, hey, can we at least get some free calls? I mean, in federal prison, they allotted 300 minutes per month. So when I talk to my father, one of the most devastating things for me is time. The thing that I feel like I miss out the most that I can never get back is the time. And even in as simple as a phone call, it was always a rushed conversation because he would have to savor his minutes throughout the month. So, I'm one of 4 children, plus he has 2-3 grandchildren, and then family and friends, trying to speak and stay in touch. It was difficult. It's challenging. It's always a rushed call. I was always having to rush to be on the phone with him. And so free communications was a big deal for us. The third one was a notification system. I don't know if you all know, but it's very challenging to find out the well-being of our family members when they're incarcerated. There's no alert system, there's no notification system. You have to call, families have to call and find out if their family members are okay. So we were asking and demanding that they, provide some sort of notification system for us so that we know that our family members are okay. Is there a website? Is there something that you all can kind of tell us? Right now in this pandemic, we don't know if they're dead or alive. They don't have access to the phone anymore. People were passing away dramatically. It was really, really scary. So for us, the third demand was the notification system. And then the fourth demand was, and you can attest to this, is the safe and sanitary conditions of these facilities. I've been to many prisons across the country, here in New York State. I had some family members that were incarcerated here, as well as in federal prisons across the country. And they weren't the cleanest facilities. And you can speak to that even more, but we wanted to know, if this was a pandemic and everything about it was about hygiene and health and cleanliness, then, oh my God, roaches and rodents and all sorts of things are in these facilities. Are they cleaning them? Everybody was everybody was taken away from work. So who was inside ensuring that those spaces were clean? Who was ensuring that, these incarcerated people were okay? It's bad enough that they're away from their families, right? They did their mistake, they made their mistake, and they're inside, they're behind bars, and they're far away from their family. That should be enough, but it wasn't. It's like these people, what are we doing? So we weren't sure if they had masks. We weren't sure. As a matter of fact, I know that they didn't have masks. As a matter of fact, my father told me that men were going to commissary, having to buy fresh new underwear whenever they had a moment to go to commissary, and they would use the underwear. What they did was take the underwear and create masks out of the underwear, the men's underwear, so that they were protecting themselves because there were no N95 masks inside. And so, we put out those 4 demands. Those 4 demands are still there. We also have a petition on change.org. It's actually on our website. You can click. Please do go there and share it, please. It's still very relevant. I'm happy to share with you that so many of our community members' families were released. I feel like our demands were being heard. Yes, we had 12, thank you so much. We have 12 senators sign on in support of our efforts and our demands. We also, in the federal system, in some states, but primarily in the federal system, they did provide free communications and increased the number from 300 to 500. So there's 500 free minutes per month for individuals to speak to their loved ones inside. So those 2 demands were met. Thank you. The third demand, with the notification system, Yes. The BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, actually put up and actually updated their website and began to list every facility and how many people have recovered from COVID, how many people were sick from COVID. I mean, a very detailed, I was just like, wow, is this all we had to do? Because it's like they were really listening. So yeah, out of the demands, and this is primarily at the federal level, our demands were being heard, but we are still pushing because across states, people are still in these facilities, people are still getting sick, and people are still locked away unjustly. And so that was speaking to that COVID-19 page.
Yes, and thank you for that work, because without it, many people would still be behind that wall. I just want to throw out 2 quick statistics that really bothered me that I found out last week. So most of the work that you've been able to accomplish on the policy has been on the federal level, but sadly, locally, right here in New York City on Rikers Island, only 28% of the correction officers are vaccinated.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me, 24% of the correction officers are vaccinated, while 28% of people detained are vaccinated. So that means there's more people that are actually detained, vaccinated, than the correction officers, or who's supposed to be overseeing them.
It's funny. I was having this conversation with my dad, and we were talking about how, the illness was coming from outside. It wasn't inside. It was people that were coming in. So it was the correction officers and the staff that were actually bringing it in. So it's true to your point. People, if they are in these spaces that we know are in these confined spaces, then we have to make sure that people are taking care of themselves and their wellness and making sure they're doing the right thing.
We still got work to do. So actually, on the way here, I was thinking about this and thinking about you and the free bus service. So the free bus service here in New York State, I don't know if people are familiar, but is it every other weekend or every weekend? They would provide service for family members to go up to the facilities that are 7 hours away for free with our tax dollars, because we pay a lot in taxes, right? It's not a lot out of the budget, but eventually they cut these services. I don't know what justifies this, because family unification is on the top list of reasons for release in New York State, at least, right?
Absolutely.
And I would like to hear from you, what has the status been, or has that been modified, or is it being addressed? Can we get an update?
So we produced a rally in 2019. We did a press conference and a rally. Every year we do this annual event called Keep Families Connected. It runs from Mother's Day to Father's Day. And in 2019, we held a rally in Columbus Circle here in Manhattan, and to address just that, free buses was something that was pivotal to keeping families connected. And according to data and research, when an incarcerated person is connected to their family, they're less likely to recidivate. So why would we take that away, right? That's from the perspective of the person that's incarcerated. But let's take it to the perspective of the child. Hello? Kids need to see their parents. Kids need to know that their parents are okay. There is nothing that can replace a hug, a kiss, the love of seeing your parent. For decades, I went through these visiting rooms, and as I reflect on it, I realized that, wow, all you would see after the trauma of going through metal detectors and driving long hours, sometimes a day, to go see my dad, after all that, it'll be a room like this. And as we're entering, the visitors entering the room to see our loved ones, everything that we just experienced dissipated, because all you saw was just love in the room. Everybody's just happy to see their family, and, wives kissing their husbands, and children running up to their dads, and mothers hugging their sons, and fathers hugging their sons. It was just love. So you know, and I don't think people people don't think about, like you said, people are not thinking about this. But I've witnessed this for decades inside. So yes, it's so important to keep our families connected. Like for us, that's why we centered it around Mother's Day and Father's Day, because that is everything to us. That is everything to our community, you know. And not everybody has a pretty story with their family that's incarcerated. Some of us has horrific stories. But at the end of the day, we all need closure. And there's nothing going to change about that person, that individual being our mom or our dad, regardless if they're incarcerated. So it's important for us to be able to stay connected. There's a new wave and surge of like this video visiting now that we're in this pandemic, and oh, we can still find ways to have these families connected. Absolutely not. There's no such thing as video visiting. There's no such thing as that. There's nothing to replace a hug or a kiss from my parent. No, I need to see him. I need to know that he's okay. I need to see her. I need to know that she's okay. And it's good for her too. It helps her or him that's behind bars. So yeah, all that to say that we were advocating during that rally for the free buses and for proximity. In New York State, there are parents that are incarcerated very, very far away from their children, and that makes no sense. Like, why are we incarcerating these people and not, again, ensuring the well-being of not only them, especially if they have younger children, but that their children can remain connected. It affects them very harshly. And so we had been advocating for those two bills. It was actually two bills at the time that were being pushed. The free buses, the proximity, and then the codification of in-person visits, like I was just sharing. Like, that was so important to ensure that those three things were at the forefront of the work. And we work with a coalition of organizations here in New York State all around these issues. And we continue to work with them, even though those bills did not get passed in 2019. But I'm happy to share that in 2020, that the free buses didn't pass, but what did pass was the proximity bill. And so now, in New York State, I believe here too, in the entire state, in the city too, that incarcerated parents will now be housed in facilities that are closest to their children. So we did get a win.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, here in New York State, most of them prisons are up there,
Yeah.
but at least some of them could get a little closer. But I don't know how are we on time. I don't want us to ever leave on a bad note. I think it's really important for you to highlight the victory in all of this. I think the people need to hear that, because we just witnessed this great performance by Truthworker, and we're speaking about these real issues, but the victories do come. And I think it's really important for you to share that.
Yes, yes. So one of the victories is what he just shared. Another victory was that we were able to pass, in addition to that bill here in New York State, we were able to pass 3 other bills. So our work is primarily focused on at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level, because we're a national organization. So locally, we were able to get a bill passed in DC public schools that highlight, that support children of incarcerated parents in the DC public schools. So there's a bill now that's focused on that. That's one victory at the local level. At the state level, it's the proximity bill here in New York State, but also in the state of Louisiana, there is a now council of children of incarcerated parents and parents, caregivers, that actually support policy and ensuring that we keep families connected. So those are the 2 state victories. And then at the federal level, we were able to get $3.5 million in the last CARES Act in 2020. We were able to get $3.5 million in appropriations for programs that support alternatives to incarceration for parents. So we are very excited about that. So 4 victories in 2020. And we got to continue to do this work, because again, like he said, the reunification of family members are so important. And I guess in 2021, On Martin Luther King's birthday, my father, after 33 years, was released from federal prison. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was so excited. I was just so yes. Your work has not been in vain, and you got dad home like that. Like now, I'm a father, and that like speaks to me. Like that resilience, that means a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'm gonna open it up for the audience because I know the audience may want to ask some questions, and we definitely want to hold on before. Last but not least, because I don't want y'all to forget this, there's a petition on the website. We got us now. Is it gonna be on? Y'all gonna put on the For Freedoms on Pioneer Works? Okay, yes. Make sure that y'all sign that petition because it's gonna impact millions of people and it's really important for our community. So let's do that. So all right, so I guess we're just gonna flow with this. I'm gonna let y'all introduce yourselves because I was blown away by the performance. I'm sorry for the transition, but I was blown away by the performance. I've been to Broadway and I've seen Dear Evan Hansen, and the ticket was like $250. And it was cool, but it wasn't Truthworker. So I'm saying, why y'all not on Broadway? But introduce yourself to the people.
Blessings. Thank y'all for having us. Thank you, Pioneer Works. Thank you, Kobe, for the beautiful installation. Thank you for your work as well. Oh my gosh. So honored to be here. My name is Juliet Rosa, and I'm a member of Truthworker Theater Company.
Yay. Yay.
Yes, thank you for your work. Thank you for having us here. This is such a blessing. Oh my goodness. And I'm Rebecca or Becca, and I'm a member of Truthworker Theater Company.
We met. I'm Samara.
Well, I guess I'll do a quick Q&A with the stars, right? Like I was blown away. Your voice, your rap, your sing. Like what actually inspired you to get into this work?
Me? What inspired me is by looking at the world around us and knowing that we needed change. And something that Samara has said before is that words are something that, yeah, documents also help in signing things, but art really reaches the heart in a certain way that by feeling emotions, you're able to actually understand what people go through. You're not just reading something on a piece of paper, which reading also definitely helps, but there's a different energy that art brings that like, okay, let's watch them and now let's go bring it to the paper. Let's go past these bills. And yeah, I feel like what brought me to this work is just looking at the world around me.
I think mine is my upbringing, my background. So like, I was raised in Brownsville, Brooklyn, which, is considered like a very marginalized community. And, it comes with like a bad stigma and all these kinds of things. So I really just wanted to come up and allow my community to see that we can do things. We aren't everything that people say we are in the negative comments. And so I was like, what are ways that I can uplift my community and allow like even like my cousins who are constantly like in and out of the prison system or stuff like that, that we can do other things to heal ourselves and to cope. And so I always was like, oh, I want to be a lawyer so I can help them, or I want to be a psychologist so I can help. And like, then I also got into Truthworker from 2013, and I was like, wow, like art is also something that can help. So like, it's like, how do I mix like law and psychology and art and all these kind of things and make it be something that works for all of us and like tackles it in different faces. And I think that this work helps me navigate all of those different things to create, I guess, like change that I want to see.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that, because that's really important. In fact, I'm not even going to ask you the question, Samara. So I was going to tell Samara when I first came home. So you say you started in 2013, right? So this is, I believe, 2015. I went to NYU for the first time, right? Oh wow, NYU, and they was doing a performance, and I stepped in, and it was like a jail cell, And it was like a prison, and they had guards and a uniform. You was there? You was there at that time? I was there. I was there. I might have looked a little younger, but so I step in, right? Mind you, I ain't been home a few months. I step in, and the dude's, hey, give me your ID. So I'm how could I say? I don't want to say triggered. I'm activated because it took me back inside, right? And then I seen the performance and everything, and I was like, that's cool, but why would anybody want to portray that? Or like in my mind, I'm saying like, why would somebody actually want to dress up like a correctional officer and do all this stuff? But years later, well, not even gonna say years later, after I came home and started getting into the social justice scene, I now really see the importance of your work because people don't know what it looks like inside. So you're actually creating a platform for people to have some type of visuals of what that actually looks like inside. And actually, I guess you could say that it allows people to see the ways in which they can show support. So thank you for that work. Are you familiar with We Got Us Now? Now you know about We Got, do you?
I've heard about it before, and I was like, this is awesome work. And I think like I do restorative justice work and circle keeping with different students, in particular Black and brown students in like the public schools. And I feel like a lot of them would definitely benefit from knowing that this program exists and how to get those resources. Like even when you were talking, I thought about this one particular, and I mainly work with middle school, student who she was harboring so much pain and hurt, like physically, but also emotionally, and blamed a lot of it on the fact that her father is incarcerated and not there to protect her from a lot of things. And, you know, those conversations made me think like, you know, how do we like repair and think about like the different encounters and transformations that are needed in order to like help her heal, most likely help her father healed, and like the family structure, and in which then, you know, it just shifts different dynamics of how she interacts with people in the school, how other people see her, and like, I don't know, it's just powerful.
Thank you.
It's
I
powerful.
appreciate that. We have an actionist program. So yeah, you should check out the website, and you should check out the website. And kudos to you for psychology and law. I was going to study law too. That's what's up.
I just wanted to thank you for your work. I also noticed that a through line is not only the people who have done the harm to society, but the people who are harmed. You're looking at both sides of the story. And you also mentioned a lot about wellness. I've seen like wellness as a through line through your story, even trying to take a wellness break for yourself, sitting by the water. I wanted to ask, what are the different ways that you implement wellness in your organization? Because I definitely, yeah.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I really sincerely appreciate that. So when I was a Soros Justice Fellow, I saw so many formerly incarcerated people that were so eager to get into the work, but they were not healed. And I could see that they still were carrying a lot of trauma. But there's this thing that happens when people are incarcerated. I guess it's like you have to. It's this thing about you have to go back and you want to help the people that you left behind, which is a beautiful thing. But you can't help any, like on the airplane, what they say, make sure you put the mask on first, then you help your child. So I said, when I was starting We Got Us Now, that at that point, it was like I was in the work maybe like 2 years, and I said, wait a minute, I can't ask, if this is a historically invisible population, right? I'm doing all this research and finding all this data. The reason why people can't really find this community is because they're probably very traumatized. So, like me. And I can't ask anybody to be part of this work unless I start from a place of healing. So, what we did with our actionist leadership community is I took them to my favorite place. So I identified 10 leaders from across the country that were active and wanted to advocate around the criminal legal system within their respective cities and states. And I took them down to Miami Beach, and we spent a 3-day retreat on meditation, sound bath, and community, just like really healing and getting to the heart of our personal stories, but in a safe and inclusive environment. And by doing that, by the time the pandemic hit, because it completely put a wrench in what we had originally planned for the program, but we were so connected by that experience and by the wellness that I said, oh my God, we hit the ground running, and we were able to put up that COVID-19 page with those 4 demands and the petition and everything. And so I know personally, and now I can speak, on their behalf, that healing and that wellness absolutely works. I mean, Devon and I were just talking about it before we even came on the stage. For everybody now that we're in the pandemic, healing and wellness is at the core of what we should be talking about always. Even with our physical health, what we eat, what we ingest, all of those things are important right now more than ever. So thank you so much for that question, because it's the truth. Thank you. Thank you. It's at the heart of what we do.
I don't even know where to go from here, because I just want this synergy just to continue. Samara, I'll ask you a quick question. Where do you find all of this talent? Because, this is not the first time I've seen Truthworker, and y'all must be doing cardio training, all of that stuff, right? So, can I get some insight on, how you do the recruitment? And another idea or thought, maybe Truthworker could possibly become an alternative to incarceration for young people, because they are creating a lot of initiatives and programs in which they're using the arts, and I can easily see Truthworker being one of them.
Yeah, that would be really incredibly powerful, and it's something that we've been envisioning a lot as a company in building wings, community engagement wings, education wings, where we're not, a company of 12 or 10 or 8, depending on, which season or cycle we're in, exclusively, where we do all the rehearsing and all the performing and all the teaching artist work and all the workshops, but that also, especially something that I feel so achieved in, proud of, is that, my initial hope in the development and creation of Truthworker was not that we were cycling kids in and out of an after-school program so we could say we did it. So we could tell our funders, which we didn't have any, it was all volunteer and all just heart and love for the first almost 5 years. And just so many, I was working for, 15 years already in New York City public schools, directing, the arts and justice theater programs at big fancy institutions, cultural centers, working in community organizations here and beyond, and feeling so frustrated that, we were trying to get as many kids in as possible. By we, I mean they, the directors, and no one's bad here, but it's the system. And it's the structures, and it's the way that even the nonprofit industrial complex is a perpetuation of the prison industrial complex and of all sorts of hierarchies that don't actually support and nurture and nourish the people that they're saying that they are hoping to. And so what I was feeling this bind where was my values were in conflict, because I was wanting to work as a teaching artist where I was using activism and artistry as a way of dismantling systems and being an activist and and connecting with young folks, but I wanted sustainable relationships. And what was happening was, my bosses and the powers that be were telling me, I'm doing auditions or I'm doing interviews or I'm reading applications, and I'm like, okay, if we're supposed to create a devised theater piece in 8 weeks and also build safety and also develop skills and also offer technique and also offer et cetera, then we need to cap it at 16 or at 20. And they're like, no, we told our funders we'd have up to 35. We'd have 35. So they wanted to throw a bunch of kids, and then, we were building beautiful relationships with one another. Becca's one of them from prior to 2013, building powerful relationships, building trust, and building connections to artistry within an ensemble and within self, which was most powerful, I think, for young people. We're talking 14, 15, 16-year-olds who are suddenly like, oh, shoot, like I'm an artist and I have a platform now. I'm not saying that I or we were awakening the artist, but providing platforms for sure with links to different organizations and institutions. But then, you know, I'd say, okay, we want to do the show again, or like Hurricane Sandy right here, you know, made the attendance of one of our most important shows for the young folks like just totally dismantled, and they just wanted to put the kibosh on it. And I just found like a volunteer space, which ended up being the community theater that donated space to us for years, to offer a space, and reached out to all the kids and was like, okay, guys, I got us a space, let's do it. And folks brought themselves. It was the day after prom, which was a testament to the devotion, and showed up and did it again. And so starting Truthworker was in some ways a protest to the systems that have been just like shuffling kids, where, you know, after Becca was in the program for 6 weeks, I'd be on to the next 32 kids, so I could tell my funder at the end of a year that I served X number of kids. And instead, I'm really proud to be like, okay, we got 10 company members. We've been together 8 years, y'all. You know what I mean? 8 years. And so our reach, and so that's an answer to the question of, and that's not to say there's only been 10, you know? There's folks who've stayed. There's folks like Leah passed the mic to Juliet, and bringing people in. So it's been a combination of noticing folks, young people who are passionate, who are devoted, who are hungry, who are curious, who are vulnerable, who are strong, and inviting them into something that is going to offer more sustainable opportunity to be an artist. So inviting folks in, the company auditions other company members. I don't do it. So we invite them into a day where we have rehearsals together, we do games together, you know, so, and the company decides. But we stay together, and so the rigor and the technique and, you know, I think the excellence that is demonstrated in the artistry is definitely training, but it's perseverance and it's time, you know what I mean? And it's really being able to fine tune and polish and get feedback and bring in guest artists and bring in all sorts of folks from all walks of expertise, from directors to producers to writers to singer-songwriters. So, you know, we have this web of support also of folks who are serving as mentors. Yeah.
Yo, I love that. That, like, just the way you frame the ways in which the nonprofit sector collaborates with the prison industrial company, like that was all for me. So now I have even more respect for Truthworker, right? Because it means something much more. Before we close out, I want to let our young people speak to the ways in which they want to enter the world as truth workers. So I guess I'll start with you, Maria. Like, after you're still in the midst of your experience with Truthworker, but what's next?
What's next, I believe, is to keep on courageously and fearlessly fighting for the things that we do, partnering with other organizations like We Got Us Now, making sure you sign the petition, making sure that we make this accessible to everybody, this information, this knowledge, this artistry, what's going on in the world, in our community, and really taking it to the streets and making sure that we're aware, making sure that we're aware first and foremost, and with that awareness, we take action.
I think every day I'm trying to just walk in my own truth first before I could, you know, offer other people to walk in that truth and seeing what that means, and then just really trying to use a lot of resources and understanding that I do have community and, of course, collaboration to make a difference and see the different things. And I think have more conversation with community and make sure that I'm getting the voices of the people that's being impacted into the different spaces in order to be able to serve them and support them rather than just be like, you know, a fly on the wall. So, yeah.
Well, I know you're going to do just that. So one last time, give them the information for We Got Us Now website so that they can go and sign the petition.
Okay, so you all can go to wegotusnow.org, click on the COVID-19 page. There you will see a petition. And if you can't find it, you can go to change.org/protect our parents. I just want to say also that art and dance, poetry, hip hop, all saved my life. Prior to me starting We Got Us Now, art and creativity was really the thing that saved my life. I could have went down a completely horrific pathway, but it was the arts that were instrumental. So Samara, thank you so much for Truthworker and your intention behind it, because it literally is so helpful to so many young people, just being able to have a means of expression.
I want to replant the seed with witnesses here, because we had talked about it in some of our planning, and the timeline in the summer was tight, but I still want to replant the seed out loud for the potential of collaboration, where we are inviting the folks that you're working with, and whether it's letter writing, whether it's campaigns, and really translating that into staged work, because so powerful is not just art, but also seeing your own story reflected back to you. Absolutely. And the healing power of that. And I think that's a conversation that we had, that's a conversation that the company had, and I think it would be a beautiful seed to plant with all these people hearing us say it.
Let's do it.
All right, y'all. I don't think it's a better way to end this, but any last words? Y'all have any last words that y'all dying to get off? You sure? But it's just giving gratitude. So thank you, everyone, for making it out here today.
Thank you.
Shout out to Truth Workers, the Truth Workers who are not on the stage. Y'all did your thing. I'm inspired. And I hope y'all, firstly, make sure y'all go to the website and continue to speak about the issues which plague our community, like it's the real elephant in the room, and we can do something about it. We just got to be intentional and allow the space for our young people to be brave and have courage, and then ultimately they can be a part of organizations like We Got Us Now or Truthworker. All right. So, with that, For Freedom Pioneer Work. Excuse me, you got to do all the shout outs to promos. Big Sam, I see you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a good night.